All right, everybody, this is going to be the walkthrough for Lab 10. So this lab is going to be covering automated tests with Java. Now, Java makes it pretty easy, or Eclipse makes it pretty easy to run automated tests. And the goal here is that when you have a program that you're working on extensively or making changes to it, or maybe it's a big program, it is no longer really reasonable to manually test all of the potentially many edge cases that your program could have, or any errors that can crop up in those edge cases. So what we do instead is we write programs to automatically test our programs for us. And the PDF goes into a little more detail, but that's all I'm going to say about that. In Eclipse, what we're going to start off with is, as always, we're going to create a project. This is going to be Lab 10. Next, what we're going to do is right-click in the Project Explorer here. We're going to go to New, Other, and then JUnit down here. You may have to expand Java. So we're going to Java, and then expand JUnit. And then what we're going to do is click JUnit test case. Click Next. We're going to give this a name. In this case, it's going to be test cases. We're going to finish, and then just make sure this is selected. So we want to add the library to our build path. Say OK. Now I get this file. The lab comes with two documents. We have one for the test case and one for the, oops, I got that other way around. One for the code and then one for the test case. So what we're going to do is copy paste the test cases over, as we normally do, and then we're going to make a new class. So this is going to be class, and this one is going to be named examples. And then we're going to copy paste that code over. You should get no more errors. So the PDF goes a little bit into explaining this line right here. So I won't go into too much detail, but this function, what we have right here, this method, this is our test. This is testing a single scenario from a method from our example. So here we have the add method. This is checking the add method and making sure that 3 plus 5 returns 8. And we're using this assert equals function to do that. So to actually run this test, what we're going to do is we're going to select the test cases, make sure we're in this file. We're going to go up, and instead of just clicking the run, we're going to click the drop down arrow, and then we're going to go to run as JUnit test. And when we click that, we see your bar might be somewhere else, might be at the bottom. Mine's on the side here. We see it did one run and there were 0 errors. So we had one test, 0 errors. So this was successful in saying 3 plus 5 did in fact equal 8 in this case. Just as a note, if you want to get rid of this, go back to your Package Explorer. There are tabs at the top here, and you can close out of that at any time. One of the next steps it wants you to do in the PDF is change this so that you can see a fail. So if I were to change this to 4, for example, so this is saying 3 plus 4 is going to equal 7, but let's say maybe I put in, it should equal 8 in this case. Obviously it shouldn't equal 8, but just to show what a fail state looks like. So I'll rerun this, and we see my same things, except now we have one failure here. So you guys are going to be writing test cases for a bunch of different methods. Examples has a few methods, and you're going to be kind of experimenting with the different, there's a few assert functions you can use. So like one of the next ones the PDF wants you to do is check if one of these elements, the element that you get from this array, is equal to null. So there's another assert function to check if something is null. And there's a bunch of them. So you're going to be using those throughout these test functions. There's a few of them, but each one isn't going to have too much in it. Basically, again, just testing each one of these methods, and the comments do a pretty good job of walking through what you should be testing. So for example, right here, this was that second one that you're testing, seeing if this array returns null. What it wants you to do is that's going to be a really simple test, just like this, just a couple lines, but you're going to be changing what you're testing and running it a few times. So for example, it wants you to change that one line of code. Basically you're going to have something that looks a little bit like that. You're going to be changing that one line to get the 0th element, then the first, second, and then third. And it just wants you to, take note of your observations. Now, doesn't mention writing these notes down or anything. So what we're going to do instead is when you go to hand this in, we're probably just going to have a quick talk about it when you go to get it checked off. So we'll ask you about what happened when you ran stuff like this. But other than that, it's something new. It's very different than what we usually do. So, but it's not too bad. So best of luck with it.